The most dangerous story I've ever reported was on Chihuahua state governor and all the houses he had in El Paso, Texas, from public money. That guy is now in jail. He's behind bars. But when he was on the loose, I found him. I found where he was living, and I knocked on his door in El Paso. He got so fucking pissed. He sent an unarmed man outside my house in Juarez for a full week. There was a man with a fucking gun on his hand outside my house. And I'm friends with the son of his right hand. So the right hand of this governor has a son who is my friend. We went to school together.
Okay.
And one night he called me and told me, he calls me Cholo. And he's like, Cholo, you need to be careful, man. My dad just told me that you're in big shit trouble for that story you published about Duarte. It was on the cover of the main publication in Mexico. It's called Proceso magazine. And he was on the cover. My story was on the cover of that magazine. And right the next day, they put that guy outside my house for a full fucking week. And I've never had something like that reporting on cartels. It was just that time that I reported on
That's
fucking
fucking
politicians.
crazy.
It's always the fucking politicians, man. It's always them. And now they're not doing that. Now, because of all the shit that it's been going on, like they've killed so many journalists, and us journalists have been paying attention to those stories and telling their stories and everything. They know that they were counting and that we're paying attention, and international organisms have been paying attention. So what they're doing now is they pay major publications to start a campaign against a single journalist and start calling him out as a rapist or as someone who stole money or who's working with the cartels. So he will be left alone without job, without anyone to hire them. And then they will go after them for crime. And that's been happening a lot. The fucking Mexican jails are full of journalists wrongfully accused of rape, of sexual abuse, of stealing, of taking bribes or money from a narco. I just recently helped, last month, I helped this guy from Cancun who arrived to Juarez after being raped by several men in Cancun. All of them were working for the government, were sicarios for the government. And this was because he found that the electricity company in his state was stealing shit tons of fucking money through fake contracts. And he published that story. They fired him from the paper, and then another one hired him, and then 3 days later they fire him, and no one will take him again. So he was jobless. He put out his own publication. He got threatened by armed men that they were going to kill him. He kept writing about that, and then they kidnapped him, have him captured for 3 days, raped him with a fucking ¿cómo se llama? Escoba, with a broom.
Oh my god, fucking broomstick.
And he, after that, he fled to Juarez and he tried to cross the border illegally to hide from those guys. I helped him, put him in touch with an immigration attorney, and he managed to claim his asylum process, and he's now in New Mexico hiding from those guys. And dude, that's just the latest case, and a case where I could personally help a colleague to get out from the fucking Mexican government, man. It's bad. It's getting fucking bad.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, man. He's a fucking brave man. He, of course, when I met him, he's a tall, dark man, like, you know, with a strong face. He's a brave man. And when I met him in Juarez, he was crying like a fucking baby, man. He was completely hurt, you know, like he was demoralized. He was feeling like shit. And he was like, dude, I was a journalist and now I'm a fucking migrant trying to sneak into the US. And I put him in touch with his attorney and he helped him up. And I'm glad that he's in New Mexico safe. We speak often. I helped him with, he had his files. Everything he had was his computer and like 5 different hard drives. And he's like, dude, this is all I have. This is all the information from those fucking guys stealing money. And I'm still planning on publishing. So help me. And I was like, give me all of that shit. I'm going to hide them in my house. And when you're safe in the U.S., I'll hand them back. And when he called me and said, like, do it, I made it. This attorney helped me to go the right way to do it, like through an asylum process. I handed him over all the information, and he's about to keep publishing all that shit from the U.S.
Gosh.
Dude, Mexico has the bravest fucking journalists in the world, man. They really are. I mean, I feel like a fucking joke, you know, like to the side of those guys. Those are the real fucking guys reporting on Mexican corruption and Mexican politicians.
How often do you report on the corruption that's going on in the government there?
Not often, man.
Do you have any sources that are close to that, or are they fucking hard to come by?
I mean, the hardest part is they always they always have an agenda. Yeah. So I try to stay away from filing agendas from one side to another.
Right. They always have they either have an agenda or no pulse.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's fucking crazy.
It's crazy. But yeah, man, that guy is Alfredo. That's his name. And I don't know if he's going to be listening to this. He doesn't speak English, but still, I pledge my respect for Alfredo, man.
Are there still a lot of journalists that are dying in Mexico?
Yeah,
that are getting murdered?
Yes, man.
Why? How are journalists getting murdered? How the fuck are they ended up getting murdered? Are they working for the Mexican media?
Yes. It's the same fucking profile all the time. It's very... how do you say this? It's very low wages jobs they have with hyper local publications. They're always exploited by their bosses, by the owners of that media, or it's independent journalists trying to put out their own little operations, either a radio station or a website or stuff like that. Mexico first Mexico was using the cartel to kill these guys, right? I mean, back in 2010, 2015, I think, the Mexican politicians, when there was an uncomfortable journalist, they would use the narcos to go and kill journalists and say they were them. It was them. Then they changed strategy and they started hiring sicarios and, you know, like doing the hit themselves, like a governor. Let's say you are an uncomfortable fucking journalist getting into my thing or my business as a governor. I wouldn't call a cartel. I will just hire a fucking hitman and have you killed. And then no one will like blame responsible, right? Like we don't know, but it's always has been politicians. It's always when you get in the way of politicians, that's when you're in danger. You can go to Mayo Zambara's house, you can break in Ovidio's house, and something cool happen to you. Mostly sure is that you might just get fucking beaten up and be sent to the hospital or shit like that.
Right.
But if that house was from a governor, a congressman, or the Mexican president, man, I wouldn't be here, man, at all.